Welcome, everyone, to the Microsoft Beach House. If this is your first session, welcome for the first time. If you're rejoining us, thank you for coming. I like to say we have a very clear view of the sea here in the Microsoft Beach House, and we have a clear view of the future. That future of advertisers, marketers, and humans, of course, figuring out how in the world to live with and thrive with generative AI. And that's a future, as far as we see it, where websites can talk and humans and agents live together on the same team, and we are all fighting for the most scarce thing out there, which is attention. So in a few minutes, I'm going to welcome Melody Lee to the stage, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of Mercedes-Benz USA. We're going to be talking about a pilot that we've been running on a product called Showroom Ads. And we'll also be demoing that product for the Maybach. Sorry, not sure what's going on up here. Melody is also going to discuss the incredible 140-year-old heritage of the Mercedes brand and how AI is playing into that, how they are working to make luxury more inclusive, and why they're going after not only Gen Z, but Gen Alpha as future customers. But first, before Melody takes the stage, I'd like to take a few minutes to set some context. You know, this is obviously a pretty pivotal era for all of us. We can't stop talking about AI because it's important for everyone, and it's certainly important for us here in Microsoft Advertising because much is at stake. But at the same time, much is possible. And while you may not think about Microsoft as a challenger brand, which I understand, you should think of Microsoft Advertising as a challenger brand because we're looking at this moment and this opportunity of understanding how AI comes into the advertising ecosystem, not just on the back end, but also on the front end in terms of what we show to consumers and users and how we monetize as an incredibly big moment that we are not afraid of, and in fact that we are charging straight into and looking to lead the change on. This era is, of course, profound in its moment of change in how people search, how they browse, how they make decisions, how they live their lives. And we believe that the future is conversational, personalized, and agentic. In that future, where Copilot is at the core, lives the transformative impact of generative AI. And we are invested in developing the best solutions for personalization, for audience buying, for trust and performance. And we're also committed to developing the best solutions to really help users simplify their decisions, make actions intuitive in ways that have brands at the center. There's lots of concern, and it's well-founded, that brands are being disaggregated and disintermediated by the changes that Gen AI is bringing forward. And we believe that brands remain at the center of storytelling, rich immersive experiences, and how we reach our users. So let me show you for just a moment, before Melody comes up, where products like this, Showroom Ads, which we'll be discussing, will exist from an ecosystem perspective. If you could just move the slide forward, please. What you'll see here in the conversation ahead is a place where visually rich, deeply immersive formats are fed by and are feeding the agentic ecosystem that brands are also investing in. And in a business role, in a sales and marketing role, I wouldn't normally be the one that shows an ecosystem slide. You'll see this tomorrow from our engineering partners who are more well-suited to represent it. But I thought it was important for you to understand where would something like this exist. And it exists in a world, as you can see here on the screen to the left, where we are placing a rich and immersive ad format on our conversational properties, Copilot, and in the future on our other properties. And it is fueled over time by agents that are agents of the brand, reasoning on brand data, reasoning on CRM data to help us create these type of formats in a deeply personalized way that is not us asking the brand to give us a bunch of information and assets, but actually a very dynamic ecosystem. We have multiple of the elements of this ecosystem in pilot. We're developing the rest of it. We're very excited. We think that this is absolutely the future, and that it can be done in a privacy-compliant way that is beautiful and a great storytelling mechanism. So with that as grounding on our vision, our strategy, our urgency, I am excited to welcome Melody Lee, Chief Marketing Officer of Mercedes-Benz USA, to the stage. Melody is responsible for marketing strategy, positioning, and execution. She has an incredibly interesting career trajectory, starting in crisis communications, which one could argue is particularly important these days, and has spent time at Cadillac, where she was the Director of Brand Marketing, time at Shiseido, where she was the Vice President of Brand Development, and a time at Herman Miller and Knoll Brands, where she was the Senior Vice President of Global Brand and Product Marketing. And now she is at Mercedes-Benz USA, revolutionizing the brand's marketing approach and focused on innovation, electrification, and inclusivity in luxury marketing. Melody, welcome to the stage. Thanks for being here. So, thank you so much for being here. We are eager to hear your take, of course, on this pivotal time. Let me get my questions out so I don't start making stuff up. So this whole point around simultaneously embracing AI on a really deep level while taking care of and amplifying such a storied brand with such a long history, like, how does that work exactly?
I think we have to be really careful not to mix up the end and the means. And for us, the way that we look at it, AI is a really powerful means to an end. So let me put it a different way as well, maybe in the context of a car. So if you're looking at a car and you're thinking about how it's powered, it could be internal combustion, it could be electric, it could be a plug-in hybrid, but it's a different powertrain that you're choosing to power your car. We view AI the same way. And just similar to the electric revolution that has happened in the last 10 years, AI is just really accelerating a new option to get somewhere faster. So that's the way that we look at it.
Makes a lot of sense. And Melody's been educating me today on being more of a car person, which is now a goal that I have because I rode in a luxury car. We think a Maybach, actually. And now I see why. I see why people are crazy about it. So Microsoft and Mercedes-Benz actually have a long history together, and y'all have been sort of the first at a lot of things. First among our AI-ready customers, first among Azure customers, and first to these native, conversationally native formats. And so when you think about sort of being first, but also, you know, taking care of the business, how do you balance those things?
Well, when you filed the first patent for an automobile in 1886, there is a great burden of responsibility that falls upon you as a brand at Mercedes-Benz to be first, to pioneer, to always push the envelope when it comes to innovation. So, and that goes beyond our cars. That's not just about our vehicles, our cars, our vans, everything that we make, engineer, and manufacture. That's also about the way we approach marketing. We have to think about more ways to answer the question of how do you do more with less? We're all being asked that question as marketers up and down the Croisette. Everybody's trying to figure out, how do I do more with less? And that means we need more tools. We need to experiment more with the tools that have been given us. And AI gives us a huge leap towards that opportunity. And that's why being a part of, you're probably going to ask me questions about it, but being a part of the Showroom Alpha with Microsoft is a great example of where we're trying to place some bets.
Well, and we have so appreciated you not only being willing to jump in, but actually having such great energy from your team to jump into something that we do believe is the future. This ad format launched in March. You are our first and best alpha partner.
Is that because I'm the only one here today?
Absolutely not, never. And so to give us a little view of what this actually looks like, we're going to have Paul Longo join us on stage. Paul is the general manager of AI in ads for Microsoft Advertising, and he is going to give us a quick demo of this ad format and of the Maybach brand as a part of it. And then we'll have a bit of a conversation about that. So Paul Longo, welcome to the stage. Oh, there you are. Hi.
Snuck up here. Thank you, Kai and Melody. Thrilled to be here today to demo this new showroom ad experience that we've developed in partnership with Mercedes-Benz USA. But before I dive in, I just want to provide a little bit of context. So one of the key insights that was behind the creation of the showroom ads experience was that customer journeys that included Copilot happened 30% faster. But at the same time, online conversion rates are only hovering at about 2%, while in-store conversion rates are closer to 30%. So we asked ourselves, how do we bring the richness, the magic of the in-store experience and infuse that into the digital customer journey? How do we make brand discovery less transactional and more aspirational? And that's where showroom ads come in. And as Kaya talked about, this is a format that works for a variety of types of brands and verticals, from apparel to beauty, of course, autos. This pilot will incorporate the full Mercedes-Benz lineup. But for the purposes of this demo, we're going to talk about the pinnacle of luxury, the Maybach S-Class sedan. So I'm currently a Mercedes S-Class AMG driver. And while I love the performance of the car, I love the safety, I love the technology features such as 64 color ambient light, so I could tune the lighting to the mood of my moment throughout the day. But I've had the car for several years, and I'm thinking about potentially an upgrade. So I'm going to ask Copilot to help me along this journey. And when I asked Copilot for some potential suggestions of upgrading, I receive a variety of organic results that come back. Now, I've already stated I am a Mercedes fan, so I want to go a bit deeper and learn about the Mercedes Maybach S-Class. And when I asked to go deeper and I raised my hand to learn more about the Mercedes Maybach, you'll see I get a list of helpful organic results that give me top-line information. But because I am a hand raiser, I'm also getting a very targeted, personalized ad that's inviting me to learn more about the Maybach and invite me into the Maybach brand showroom. When I enter into the showroom, you'll notice that Copilot moves over to the right-hand side. So you're having a conversation, and Copilot continues to be your trusted advisor and your companion. But what we've done is, to Kaya's earlier point, we've invited Maybach into the conversation. We're not having this without them. We believe that brands deserve and have a right to be a part of the conversation in these environments. And we're not only involving Maybach into the conversation, we're doing it in a very rich way. So we're pulling in all the luxury images, the voice of the brand, the curated storytelling. It's all helping to elevate the experience. And as I ask questions about the features, about the technology, the imagery is updating in real time in a dynamic fashion. But what I really want to know is, what makes the Maybach S-Class sedan different from my current Mercedes S-Class? Why should I upgrade? Well, here Copilot really delivers in just a very seamless conversational way. I'm able to find out more about the luxury features of the Maybach. Everything from the enhanced materials to the LED lighting to the rear seat experience, which is pretty next level. That includes silver-plated champagne flutes, a refrigerator, calf rest massage. I mean, this is not a vehicle. This is a sanctuary on wheels. So I am pumped now about these added luxury appointments that I can receive if I potentially upgrade. But I also want to find out about some additional sedan models. So now here I see we've got the S580 and also the S680. And look at the S680, V12, 6-liter, 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. That is the pinnacle of power and performance. So I want to find out more about the performance of this S680. And here again, Copilot is providing me additional detail. So I think you'll see that this is not your run-of-the-mill product ad experience. This is a fully rich, brand immersive showroom experience. And it's designed not just to educate, it's designed to evoke emotion. So now I'm coming away from this experience not just informed, I'm inspired. And I'm ready to check out the inventory and visit my local Mercedes-Benz USA dealer, take a test drive, feel that power, and check out those luxury appointments in person. So Kai and Melody, I'll turn it back over to you. And Melody, I like the way that you teed it up before and said, hey, AI is kind of a means to an end. So I'd love to just hear more about how is this showroom ad experience going to solve some of your business challenges and maybe be that part of that means to an end for Mercedes?
Yeah, so I think one thing that we know is that a Maybach buyer is not there to shop by price. A Maybach buyer is there to shop for the experience, to see if they want to be a part of the Maybach world and if that car is really for them. So being a part of a showroom experience allows a buyer like that to lead us to where they are. And that's what I love about this alpha that we're a part of, is that it's user-led, it's user-centric. They're asking to learn more in an immersive experience, but they're able to do so in that AI Copilot environment. So it's a really nice way to do it in a way that they lead us there.
Yeah, and I think, as we continue to learn together and figure out the next steps on this, I can see how we're going to get to a really interesting way of surfacing the next step, not in this pushy, like, hey, do you want to have a test drive? But because we will understand the intent based on this rich conversation, deciding how you want to position those sorts of next steps to make it super easy for that person to come in and start to actually live the experience. So there's a lot of potential in sort of the call to action on even a very luxury offering like this, I think.
And funny that you say call to action. I think one of the things that you should note as you were going through the demo is that each of the call to actions was different. So depending on where the user is taking you within the showroom, it's taking you to a different part of our website, mbusa.com. So maybe someone's not ready for the vehicle inventory page. They're not ready to shop at that part. They're not in that part of the funnel yet. Maybe they're at a different exploration phase. Showroom allows us to tailor each of those calls to action differently.
Yeah, and I'm excited about the opportunity for us to really learn together on this. We are at the beginning of this journey in terms of the amount of conversational engagement that's happening, whether it be on Microsoft properties or elsewhere around the internet. But it is growing so substantially, and of course it's growing with part of the audiences that you're targeting in terms of Gen Z and Gen Alpha. I'd love to talk about that, but first, Paul, thank you so much for the demo and for your expertise. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, Kai.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So Melody, I have two Gen Z children who cannot afford any product in this category, of course. But I'm so interested to hear about how you're developing sort of very early these new audiences in a very inclusive and also pretty long-term way.
Mercedes-Benz has been around for 140 years, not because it only appealed to the generation that could buy. It's been around for 140 years because it has been an intergenerational brand. So what do I mean by that? We could just focus on those who have the disposable income to buy our cars. That'd be boomers, Gen X, and I hate this term, but it's geriatric millennial, because you got to break up that generation a little bit right now. That's who's buying right now, but if we only focused on them, we would not be building the brand for the next 140 years. So we think about Gen Z, and I've got a Gen Zer and a Gen Alpha at home. We think of those two generations as the ones that we need to inspire now. Let's call them a really long, warm lead, right? A really long lead. Might take a few years or even decades for them to get to the point where they can buy a Mercedes-Benz, but we want that poster on the wall now. We want them dreaming about the SL now, so that when they are ready to buy, maybe they don't buy an SL, but they buy a GLA instead, right? And they enter the brand. And then they move into the lease cycle, and then they keep renewing their leases until they move into the car of their dreams, that SL, a few years later. So appealing to multiple generations in different ways with different messages and different tools we have to do that.
Amazing. I think one of my favorite reasons for working in marketing and advertising is every time I talk with a client, I want to buy their product immediately. So
Hey, I can help you with that.
thanks a lot. Awesome. Okay. Well, that is super helpful. Tell me a little bit more about sort of the inclusive work that you're doing. I mean, we talked about the generational piece, but I'd love to hear like this concept of making luxury inclusive is super compelling.
When you're selling a very expensive product that you don't actually need and none of your customers actually, I mean, if we sold the kinds of cars that people only practically needed, there would be no Mercedes-Benz. We're selling something you don't necessarily need. It's just something that you want. So in order to put equity back into the world and ensure that there is an accessibility to the brand and an appeal to the next generation, as we just talked about, there needs to be a degree of inclusivity that comes along with it. Also, I'll just put it this way. We don't like to do things for diversity's sake. We don't like to talk about DEI just to talk about DEI. We talk about diversity, inclusivity, and about building equity in the brand because that's smart business. It makes for a better brand, it makes for a better business, and it future-proofs the brand for, again, the next 140 years. The only growth that's coming in the United States for any brand, and especially in the car market, is coming from multicultural communities. It's the communities of color that are growing, and that means we've got to speak to them in a way that is relevant to them. It's just good business sense, as well as just the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. We are 1,000% on the same page. Well, so this is all, the trends, of course, of AI. What else is happening in your world? What other trends are you watching and surfing?
Well, we've never seen a geopolitical or trade environment like the one we're in, right? And we're all grappling with it. But as a German car company operating in the United States, which is the second largest market for Mercedes-Benz in the world, that's a lot to navigate, right? And I think for us, it's been how do we keep our eye on taking care of the customer? Because what really gets lost when you're talking about trade and tariffs and retaliatory tariffs and economic policy is what is the customer expecting? Are they confused? What guidance do they need? What trust can we build and what reassurance can we provide? And as long as we keep our eye on that, we continue to build trust between Mercedes-Benz and its current and future customers.
Well, so well said. The environment that we're all navigating is complex, and I love your point here, which is focus on your customer and what they're navigating, and that's how we all find the right outcomes as best we can in this time. Melody, thank you so much. This has been amazing. Again, I'm not in the market for a car, but I guess I kind of feel like I am now, so thanks for that. I really appreciate the partnership that we've had with your team and the willingness to really dive in. As you said, you wouldn't be here if you weren't ready to be the first at things, and we really appreciate you being a part of this as our first. So thank you so much. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the partnership.
Absolutely.
Thank you.